Good evening. The regular City Council meeting of March 16, 2017 is called to order at 7:31. Madam Clerk, the pledge, please. Roll call.
Councilman Bodier.
Present.
Councilman Benton.
Present.
Councilman Hewitt.
Present.
Councilman Johnston.
Present.
Councilman Wheeler.
Present.
Mayor Maselli.
Present.
Police Chief Walker. Fire Chief St. Cyr. City Attorney Burris. City CPA Linda Lulu. And Municipal Clerk Nicole Lee present.
Thank you. I'd like to just open with some comments and run through some issues up front for everyone. To talk about the pickup of the cans or carts for Progressive, the former contractor. The pickup of old Progressive garbage cans or carts was delayed because Progressive reneged on their obligation to pick up their own carts. Ramelli has just generously offered to pick up the remaining cans or carts at no charge, and it should be done within the next 3 days, is what they're anticipating. So that's good news, and I'd like to thank Ramelli Waste for picking up their slack.
Mayor, at the last meeting, Ramelli stated that when they dropped off the new cans, they were going to pick up the old cans.
Because there was a reneging on it.
So did the renege happen before he stated that or after he stated that?
I'd have to go and ask Bob Ramelli exactly what
I
happened.
spoke to Bob, actually, myself.
I know you did. Can I finish my comments and we'll talk about the
Of
garbage
course you can.
contract? Thank you. A new contract, just as the prior contract, for each home is to have one garbage can or cart. Additional cans or carts will result in additional fees. Should you need an additional garbage can, please call Ramelli at 504-482-2040 or contact them through their website at www.ramelliwaste@ramelli.com. And Ramelli is spelled Ramelli. The city's website is being updated to contain a link to them directly. Ramelli has also taken on the replacement of the cans that become damaged. Prior, the city maintenance crew, who at one time was a crew of 8 plus, is now 4, were in charge of delivering cans, replacing cans, and repairing cans. Now the contractor is in charge of that. The new contract, I just want to reiterate, comes at a savings of approximately $80,000 per year. But that city is still significantly subsidizing the garbage service fee, the garbage service. I want to remind everyone that we are in the season where everyone is working in their yards and trimming trees. The requirements for the pickup of this waste is essentially unchanged from the prior contract to the current contract. Both companies require that garbage waste, including tree limbs, wood waste, must be neatly stacked with a diameter of less than 2 feet and cut into lengths no longer or no greater than 4 feet. So it's a 2x4. Tree trunks must be cut into pieces not to exceed 75 pounds. Leaves, grass, clippings, and other yard waste must be containerized, preferably in plastic bags so the wind does not blow the debris around. And that's also important so it doesn't get into our drainage system and clog our drains and cause flooding. Any yard service or tree removal, performed by a contractor must be removed by the contractor. Residents must handle their yard waste to the specifications above. Yard waste placed curbside outside of specifications will not be collected and will be considered a code violation and processed accordingly. As I said at the last meeting, when I took office in 2015, Progressive reported only 3 months of data that showed that only 38% of our residents have been recycling. And upon request in the last quarter of 2016, they refused to provide any additional data. We requested all of 2015 and 16's data. I had asked the council for input about their thoughts on the solid waste contract and recycling and received no input except from Councilman Benton. The reasons that curbside recycling was not included in the request for proposal and subsequent contract are as follows. Doing it separately allowed for increased competitiveness, thus better savings. Evaluating the desire of our residents to continue curbside recycling with discussion and input from the council will be done before any decision is made. Unlike the prior recycling charge from the contract accepted by a simple motion of the council in 2007, any recycling charge will be per city ordinance with the vote of the council so that the citizens can know the proper charge. Any future recycling contract will require the contractor to disclose its routing methods, collection, and processing, along with commodity information and participation rates to the city. The city has the right to know where the recycling materials are going and the end result of those recycling efforts. The new contract will prohibit Christmas tree composting or mulching within the corporate limits of the city. In the meantime, free community recycling bins have been placed at the senior center, here in the parking lot, at City Hall, at the maintenance building, and at the Soniat playground. And it's actually, people are utilizing them, and I was glad to hear positive feedback. Another topic I'd like to address is capital funds. In the 2017 budget, 4 council members voted to eliminate all capital funds for the city. I receive calls on a daily basis from citizens who request and deserve services that require these capital funds. Just one simple example is that I recently met with an 88-year-old resident who has a major street problem, a road problem. That road problem cannot be taken care of unless there's a special city council meeting or brought up in an ordinance and then done. There are multiple issues at hand that require capital funds, whether it is maintenance on buildings, roof repairs, especially at the gym, etc. So we have many. It saddened me to inform this lady that we would just have to put it on our list and write an ordinance and put it before the council. Eliminating the allocation of capital project money interferes with the day-to-day operations of the city. So it does, again, I reiterate, affect street repairs, drainage issues, building maintenance, blight remediation. Those cannot proceed without calling for either a special meeting, emergency meeting, or waiting for another meeting to the next monthly meeting. And additional meetings cost more money. The sewer ordinance, there's a ordinance addressing the sewer tonight. On tonight's agenda for a vote, there is an ordinance sponsored by Councilman Baudier to decrease sewer rates. I'm in support of decreasing sewer rates, provided that those rates meet the requirements set forth in the DEQ covenants that were agreed upon in 2013 and voted in positive manner by Councilman Baudier and Councilman Hewitt. I have requested that Councilman Baudier provide the methodology and analysis used to formulate the proposed sewer rates in this ordinance in order to forward them to the DEQ staff for their approval. I have yet to receive this data and look forward to his comments tonight. Last week, Councilman Baudier requested that Ms. Lulu, the city financial administrator, evaluate the new rates he proposed and how they may affect the covenants of the bond over time, 3 weeks after the ordinance and the new rates were introduced. This morning, I sent an email to the council, the city bond attorney, the city attorney, the city finance administrator, and the pertinent staff at the DEQ, Mr. McFarland, Ms. Sierra Trebeau, and Mr. David Wolf, who is their bond attorney, concerning this matter. I believe it is in the best interest of the city to defer this ordinance until the DEQ can assess the feasibility of the new rates and whether they meet all the bond covenants. The police department also has a budget amendment on the agenda. Ordinance 2017-2, amending the 2016 police budget. This ordinance was proposed by Councilman Johnston without review by the city financial administrator. There are several grave elements, problems with this ordinance that make it unworkable. It transfers money that simply doesn't exist from an allocated line item. Improper insurance liability methodology, which we've talked about in the past. Incorrect account names and numbers. Incorrect language. If they are attempting to move money between funds, the language is improper and cannot be worked out. The millage election is also a proposed resolution that I'd like to speak to briefly. The proposed resolution number 2017-4 calls for an election to institute a 5 mil tax for the maintenance of the sewer system. At the present time, the city only has a 0.88 mil for the sewer, not even a whole mil for maintenance of the sewer system. Should this millage pass at the October 2017 election, the city will not collect revenues until January 2018. Ms. Lulu said 18.
18.
19,
Wait,
it
why a
is
whole year?
19. It is 19. It goes on the tax bill, so it is 19.
But if we're voting on it in 17,
It will go on the 18 tax bill for 19 revenue.
For 19 revenue. The sewer rates on the water bill can only be decreased at the point that the revenue is then collected without jeopardizing the DEQ loan. The sewer rates generate $800,000 per year. The millage will generate an estimate of $430,000 a year, still leaving a shortfall that we have to make sure that the sewer rates are adjusted to achieve. We have another ordinance up about concerning 2016 change in operations. For the third time, I have placed an ordinance on tonight's agenda to amend the 2016 budget of revenues and expenditures. This ordinance needs to pass in order to comply with state law, which mandates an amendment to the budget when there is a change in operations. Ms. Lulu will address the changes in operations and how important they are and how they affect the budget when we go through this. I just wanted to make sure that we put out these issues to, when it's time to address the council, that if our residents want to speak to it, some of the concerns, remind everyone about the concerns. Now we'll go on to special presentations.
Mayor, am I given my chance to speak about the information, or do I need to wait?
When we come to when we do council discussion on each item, and then under new business, we have the garbage contract, recycling, et cetera.
Well, why wasn't yours discussed at that time? But that's okay.
Mr. Scott Patterson from Veolia, if you would come to the podium and give your special presentation about our sewer system, and tell us a little bit about your educational background, if you don't mind. I surprised you with that. I just want everybody to know
Okay.
your professional background.
I think that's 6 of them. Yeah, I'm Scott Patterson. I'm the project manager with Veolia Water. I started here in Harahan in September. Is it on? Hello? All right. Yeah, I'm Scott Patterson. I'm project manager with Veolia Water. I started here in September of last year, and got 15 years with the company. I've been all over the United States running projects and, technical work and different things with Veolia Water and the wastewater side. When I got here in September, the first thing I noticed was the, you know, the wastewater plant and its condition. It was built in 1963, and really there hasn't been much rehabilitation or upgrades or expansion at all to the plant. So I've got this handout here, about 4 pages here, and I want to go through. What we did is we assessed the plant, and we come up with numbers, what it would take to get the plant back into optimal working condition. The Harahan wastewater treatment plant was constructed and put into operation in 1963. Plant services approximately 9,300 Harahan residents and businesses. It is a process capable of treating 1.6 million gallons a day of raw sewage. Since the facility was put into operation, there have been no major upgrades or expansions to the process. Over the course of the last 4 months, Veolia North America has conducted a plant and equipment assessment. Below are the findings and estimates to bring the facility process and equipment to optimum performance. Headworks. Plant headworks is where the raw sewage enters the facility. Solid waste such as rags and large debris are screened and grit is removed. What we were looking at Headworks was the influent flow meter. There isn't one. It's been removed and it was never replaced. To replace that flow meter so we know what's coming into the facility, it's an estimate of about $7,000. Clarifier 1. Clarifiers are the settling basins used to separate the biological mass used for treatment of the wastewater and the treated effluent, which is disinfected and then discharged. Clarifier 1 has never been upgraded or rehabilitated whatsoever. And after looking through records, it looks like in 2015 we had a complete failure of Clarifier 2. So they have completely rehabbed it. That clarifier is in good shape. But since it failed in 2015, we feel the other one will go soon. I mean, it's in the same condition, been online for the same amount of years. Solids disposal. Solids disposal is where sludge is fed into the belt press. High pressure is used to squeeze the sludge and remove excess water. There is a belt press there, and after talking to the operators and trying to get the history, it hasn't ran in 10 years. So after looking into it, it would be better to replace it. It's so old. I don't think we could rebuild that press, you know, any cheaper than just trying to replace it. And we're looking at $200,000 for a new belt press. Right now, what we've got there is we've got a bin. So we put the sludge in it, and we let it drain out, and then we haul it to the landfill. So we're hauling excess sludge. What you want to do is get the water out of it, so you're hauling sludge and not water. So we're wasting money just by hauling sludge that's got a lot of water content left in it. Safety, this is pretty self-explanatory. After walking the plant, all the gratings up on top, they're in bad shape. I mean, there's certain areas we've had to rope off. We can't even let people walk on it. So all the grading needs replaced so we can actually get, you know, have access to areas so we can maintain the plant. RAS and WAS, this is returned activated sludge and waste activated sludge. Sludge is either returned to the process to be used again for treatment. What it is the sludge is a biological process. We call it bugs. The bugs do the work. That's what treats the water. There's no chemical. It's a biological process. So we, lost my place here. Sludge is either returned to the process to be used again for treatment or is wasted to keep the biomass concentration under control. So to keep it under control, what we do is we have to waste some of those bugs. And when we do that, that's what goes to the belt press, because otherwise you get too many and then, you know, and now you've got more sludge than you've got water. So what we're doing is we end up wasting it. RAS clarifier draft tube replacement. The draft tubes are what removes the sludge, and these both need replaced. They're not working. Aeration. Aeration is where the process is treated by introducing air into the wastewater and biomass. We've got 3 items here. Now, because the plant is so old and it's never been cleaned out, what happens is through the collection system you get dirt and grit and different things that comes into the plant. Well, it settles out in your basins. The basins are full. I would say we're running at 60%, maybe less capacity, because what happened is we're filling it full of dirt and grit. Now we don't have the volume to treat the water the way we should. So and that's gonna be very expensive. We're looking at $250,000 to clean out that plant, but it hasn't been done. Since 1963, nothing's been done to the plant. Aeration air diffuser replacement. Current air supply bad and causing poor treatment. Same thing. The diffusers haven't been replaced. You know, nothing's been replaced in the plant, so we can replace those with fine bubble diffusers and get better treatment and better capacity. Let's see, and then the installation down at the bottom, that's, you know, we're looking at $100,000, well, $89,000 right there for diffusers. Digestion is where solid sludge is sent for treatment and stabilization. After treatment, the sludge is sent to solids disposal for dewatering and disposal to the landfill. This is 2 tanks. They're big tanks, and it's the same thing. They're gonna have to be cleaned out just like the aeration basins, and we're looking at another $300,000 to clean and dispose of all that grit and debris. So in conclusion, the Harahan wastewater treatment plant is in great need of major upgrades. These upgrades and equipment replacements will bring the plant back to proper operation, will enhance the treatment and reduce the odors. The total estimated cost to bring the plant up to proper condition is estimated to be approximately $961,000. Of course, you know, it needs to be done. The longer you wait, you're filling up your plant, and you got equipment out there that's older than I am.
And I understand some equipment they don't make anymore, some
Exactly.
parts.
It's obsolete. Yeah, it's obsolete. Any questions about the plant before we move on to my next subject?
Plan itself?
Okay.
I have a quick question, Jonathan. How long have you been with Viola?
What's that?
How long have you been with Viola?
15 years.
And you took JR's
Yes.
position?
Yes.
Okay. Not that we haven't received an update, because we do receive updates on the plant at least once, sometimes twice a year.
Yeah.
I'm sure most people in the audience, and when folks watch this, $961,000 is shocking,
Oh, yeah.
right? I guess my concern would be your predecessor, if it was JR or the person before him or her. Over the years, why weren't we doing upgrades and maintenance throughout?
I think that-
And why
well-
would we be told tonight, you know, you have a plant that was built in 1963,
Yeah.
and you have $1 million worth of parts and machinery that you need to replace, when possibly we could have done this a little bit throughout the years, and we wouldn't be hit with $1 million balance? I'm asking that question because I don't know the answers.
I agree, because that's, you know, that's usually what happens. This is what I see of wastewater plants is you just Band-Aid it and go on because it's a money issue. I mean, any major upgrade is gonna cost money at a wastewater plant. But I agree. I mean, why hasn't it been cleaned out in 30 years or more, you know?
Well, I mean, your company being the managing partner, correct?
Yes.
You would then each year, I would assume, give a suggestion or recommendation to the city saying, you should clean this.
Yeah,
This
and-
should be changed out, this should be upgraded, and the ticket is $150,000. And the
Yeah.
city could decide to do it or not.
Well, and
So
that's the
would
thing.
you say you've made recommendations, your company, throughout the life of the contract, and we've just decided no?
Well, no, I'll have to go back and look, but I'm sure we have. And I'm sure we have. I mean, that's our job. That's what we do.
Right.
And the thing is too, I mean, this is everything one lump sum. You can't do this all in a year anyway.
Absolutely not, right.
But it's gotta be done.
Do you have an idea what would be like your top 3 things you would want to do most urgently?
Yeah, cleaning the basins. I mean, without that room, the basins, they're, you know, you've taken away your capacity right there.
What page is that?
Let's see, it's aeration would be page 3.
3.
And page 4. You're looking at, you know, to clean the basins, we're looking at $250,000, and then to clean those digesters, we're looking at another $300,000. I mean,
So the
it's
most
gotta be,
critical
we're
part-
gonna have to bring crews in, you gotta clean it all out, suck it all out, and then haul it to the landfill. I mean, it's gonna be trucking, it's gonna be equipment, and it's gonna be labor.
What kind of time span does that, something like that take? Do you even know?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it in the past, usually about a month. I mean, you plan what you're gonna do and go down the line, because you're having to shut basins down at the same time. I mean, you're gonna have to shut some of the basins down to do that. You gotta get in them. So, it's all planned out, and you just kind of move down the line.
Yeah.
Could you give, I know it's not right off the cuff of your head right now, but could you give us some kind of estimate how much money we would be saving if we do the sludge press?
Yeah, I can come up with
Well,
something on that.
cost
Yeah,
benefit, and
yeah,
over a year, how much would we save?
yeah, I can get that for you.
Yeah, I was
question.
curious about the cost-benefit ratio there, too. So if you're trying to squeeze out that much excess water, how much are we shipping off, and are we, we spending 20,000 a month extra? What is the
Yeah,
number there?
yeah, I can get those numbers for you.
So 550,000.
To start, yeah. I mean, that's the big ticket items, that your plant's full of dirt and debris, that's the trouble.
And so, in your expert opinion, if we spent 550,000, that would extend the life of our plant?
Oh, yeah.
How long?
I'd say 10 years. I mean, and it's the growth of your city too. I mean, as you got a plant that's capable of treating 1.6 million gallons a day. But the thing is, I mean, if you're reducing your capacity, I think we're putting around 1 million gallons on average right now a day through it. So you gotta, by doing that, yeah, I would say you can probably buy another 10 years by bringing it up to where it needs to be.
So longevity and efficiency.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, once it's cleaned out, we can start looking at trying to save on energy and everything else. I mean, once we're running at, optimum, then we can start looking at, there's several things we can do to save energy. VFDs, different blowers, stuff like that. But we got to get to that point.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, and the second part I've got here, I know there's been some concern with the MET water, that what it is that's
Can you
what.
make sure the microphone's up? Thank you.
Okay. But what it is we get loads once a day of this MET water, and it's revenue for the city. So what they do is,
What is the MET water? Basically,
it's a byproduct of a process. I've got the email here, because what happened was there's been some concerns about the odors. So I've contacted Dave Milas, he's the project manager at the plant. And he sent this email, and I'll read it off to you to try to explain exactly what it is. All right, this is his email to me. Scott, here's the analysis I get done yearly. So at the end of this, I've got the analysis of the water, because I know there's some safety concerns and different things, Our process is simple. We produce potassium hydroxide, KOH, from refineries spent potassium fluoride, KF. The refineries use KOH in their alkylation unit to neutralize a waste oil that has free hydrofluoric acid in it. The neutralization results in a spent material, the potassium fluoride, that is recovered and transported here via tanker truck, here meaning his plant. We receive the potassium fluoride and produce it into potassium hydroxide. Our refinery customers require the potassium hydroxide to be a specific concentration. In order to increase the concentration, we use an evaporator to remove the water from the produced potassium hydroxide. This evaporated water is what we send to you. The ammonia content is a byproduct of the evaporative process.
I'm sorry. They're having problems hearing you. Can you maybe?
Okay.
Is it on?
yeah. Yes, it is.
I'll try to talk a little louder. The evaporative water is what we send to you. The ammonia content is a byproduct of the evaporative process. This ammonia is in the refinery potassium fluoride feedstock, and we are unable to remove it from the process. So what they do is they send it to us. Now, ammonia, the chemical compound, is NH3, one nitrogen molecule and three hydrogen molecules. So we introduce it to air, which goes back to the plant. We introduce it to air, and that strips off the hydrogen molecules. Now you're left with one nitrogen molecule, which is a gas, and it is released into the atmosphere.
Is this any different than what we've had delivered over
No.
the years?
No, I asked him that. He said, no, it's the same process exactly. That's why I've included the analysis with the presentation here. It's the same thing they've always done. Nothing's changed.
Just seems that from past administrations I've talked to, and we never had an issue like we're having now. The past couple of years, it's been getting worse. We're going to get a lot more complaints.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, well, we're taking one load a day. We cut it down, one load period a day. And what they're doing is when they offload it, it goes right into the basin. And then it releases, it's an obnoxious smell, and depending also on which way the wind's blowing. So what we've done at the plant is we bought a mister and a masking agent. And for a while, I wasn't getting too many complaints. I thought it was working. We're starting to get them again. So I'm going to invest in another. I've got it coming. I've got another masking diffuser unit coming. And we're also looking at other options, like possibly storage tanks to keep it and feed it over a longer period of time instead of all at one time. Right now, the only option we've got is to feed it at one time into the
And
plant.
I know we make a good amount of money. We make about
Oh, yeah.
$90,000 a year from
Yeah.
it.
Now,
So we don't want to get rid of it. But
Yeah.
if it's affecting the citizens too much, it might have to be looked at getting rid of it.
Exactly. No, and I agree. And
And Craig, I apologize, I did run the numbers, like from 2015, of what the average monthly cost was, and I believe 2015 was $82,000 of credits we get to
Right.
our bills.
Right.
Did I send that to y'all?
Yeah,
or-
I got the
Oh,
email.
okay.
Mhm.
I probably didn't send down the monthly breakout.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Okay. But yeah, we're looking at options to try to reduce this odor because,
Right.
it is an obnoxious odor, and
Right.
he agrees. I mean, so we're looking at different options, and we're going to try to come up with something that works for everybody.
Yeah, if
that
you
way
keep
we
us informed to
continue.
let us know so we can let the citizens know. Because like I said, if it becomes too much of a problem where everybody keeps complaining,
Yeah.
we hate to get rid of the money, but we might have to look at it that way.
Okay, no problem. And that's all I've got. Any questions? Yep.
The fire department.
Latter part of February this year, the police department had a complaint about the obnoxious odor, and we conducted an investigation. As we discovered, these trucks, I don't know how many a week, but there's more than one. It's a 5,000 gallon, how many? One a day, so that's 5 days a week. It's 5,000 gallons. So you're talking about putting in a tank in there to hold it? Who would pay for the tank?
Well, that's what we're looking into.
And if you get 5 trucks a week, that's 25,000 gallons. This odor is some obnoxious.
We want to feed it in over the course of 24 hours period, so smaller volumes that go in all at one time. That way the plant has time to treat that water over a 24-hour period.
Are y'all running 7 days a week? Y'all are running 7 days a week?
It's a truck a day, 7 days a week?
Scott, I got a question. What about the sewer lines? Should they be repaired before you do major repair on the plant? How much mud and stuff is
The
there?
Alvin was done an assessment on that. I thought he was going to do that.
Can't hear any.
You got to
Come
give
back,
them.
speak at the microphone, please.
Yeah, I believe Calvin has all that information, doesn't he?
Calvin did bring the posters that are up that show the lift stations and all the lines that are in need of urgent repair. You can see the scan of the city, and the yellow lines are urgent repair lines. Those are pending. He also gave us an update on the different construction projects and cost and what they saw going forward and how the monies for the DEQ loan would be processed.
Mayor, I can't read that, but can you give us an update from the $4 million loan? How much money has been used on assessment of the pipes, and how much money has been used on actual repairs?
You're right, I can't read it from here either.
I'm sure they probably gave you some type of report, but I can't read it off the wall.
I'll just, Linda, the third box, what does that say? I think it talks about how much money has been spent so far and what we're,
8 million is the corrective actions.
2.8 million is what?
It says corrective actions, but that doesn't say,
I'm happy to ask,
It's on a breakdown.
the engineer to come to the next city council meeting, Councilman.
Yeah, I
If you
think,
don't mind, I'll read this.
Thank you, Mr. Buddy.
Evaluation, $625,000. Administration, which is legal, PM, I guess, project manager, DES, and inspection. I'm not sure what the DES is, that's $373,000. Construction, $165,000.
So just a question, Mr.
Total
Buddy, hold on
1,165,000.
1 second, Mr. Buddy. So the administrative project management fee, that is to Stewart?
No.
Who's that to?
There were,
And
That
inspection,
was the
which was
beginning
probably a
bond.
big
Right.
part.
This is a lot, that's the beginning of the bond.
Okay,
So I'm just sharing.
okay.
So out of $1,165,000, they've done 10% of that, $165,000 in construction.
we have the assessment cost, which was a complete assessment that told us what all the line problems were. He said was how much in the 600 and,
$625,000 was
Correct.
the evaluation.
and that was spent on the eval.
Yeah,
Of all the
CCTV, I
lines.
guess
Right,
they
right,
put
right.
it in smoke, whatever.
What we did is we have, just received bids back, and we are waiting for approval from the DEQ, about proceeding with manhole rehab and line replacement. And I believe it's listed up there on the prices of those. That brings us to, I'd have to go back up there and read it to see what it was.
Manhole says 91,000.
Mhm. And that's not every manhole, those are the urgent manholes that need to be rehabbed.
So
And
we've
then raw
spent,
line replacement is what? I think it's close to a
Phase one
million.
of lift stations
It's close to a
678 is 1,348,262. And it's estimated in April 2017. Phase two is pumps, is lift stations 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's $1 million, that's at 75%. They have administration, which is legal, project management, EES, and inspection at 72,500. And contingency, 6.2%, 323,185, for a subtotal of 2,834,987.
Thank you so much. And you did that without a microphone and very clear. Thank you. The contingency, the project that we have, we're waiting for those two projects from DEQ for their approval in order to proceed with, to utilize the loan. There are also some other projects that we're going to request through the DEQ because we have huge sinkholes in several residences' backyards that we want to also potentially use those contingency funds for. A very elderly gentleman who lives on Kenmore has a large sinkhole in his backyard. And we really want to repair this before a collapse, because a collapse is much more expensive than to be proactive and do the repair. So we know of 3 additional sinkholes we'd like to talk to the DEQ about adding on for repair.
so Mayor, work will start based on, thank you, ma'am, what you just read. And Mr.
That was
Buddy,
so helpful.
the priorities, obviously. So the work will begin in April.
We are waiting for Scott Template with the DEQ to give us the last okay. We're waiting for an email, a letter, formal, because there's multiple steps in the process. You have to present your plan, send it to the DEQ, bid it out, and then send it back to them for final
So you're on the
approval.
last step for final approval?
Yes.
So you anticipate work to begin in April?
I can't say that for sure. I don't want to make a promise because
But
you know when
you're
you
in the
put.
but you're in the last step of the
Yes.
process.
I'm hoping April, that would be really nice, but whenever I make a promise of how fast other people will work, it's never a good thing to do.
Scott, one more question. Have a core sample been taken of the sludge inside the basin? If it's been there since 1963 for all the regulations,
Yes.
there's no telling what's in there.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, it's deep. I mean, yeah, we took a rod down there to see how much is actually down there. And we actually took the basin down and we could see the mounds, you know, about halfway up.
You have, what, PCBs or whatever in there? There's no telling.
Yeah.
Could put that price up. Millions.
I have a question, sir. Where Harahan is apparently paying.
Mr. Buddy, I'm sorry, could you come up to the microphone, please? I'm sorry, just-
Yeah, I can't hear it.
Do you want me, is it better on that
Yeah.
level?
That would be, yeah.
That way they each have a microphone.
Put your on, I'm sorry.
According to a projection I've seen to justify our recent sewer rate increases, looks like the city is projecting to pay about $473,000 in contractual services, which I'm assuming is to your firm,
Yes.
and $473,000 in supplies, which I'm assuming are to run the plant, for a total in 2017 of $947,000. If these repairs are made, the repairs you've told us about, $961,000,
Yeah.
and if 20% of the cracked intake lines or distribution lines are repaired and you're sucking in less groundwater, can you even ballpark the savings in your fees and or if there are any, in your fees, your firm's fees, and in supplies and maintenance?
I can't at this time, I mean, but there should be savings. I
On
mean,
both ends?
I would think so.
So your contractual fees are somewhat tied into the amount of intake and outtake and
Yeah.
all of that good stuff? So that would be very helpful for this council and the mayor to determine whether, how much more savings are gonna come from spending now with, we're talking between what you brought up plus $4 million, we're gonna spend $5.5 million.
Yeah, very good
So
point.
if we save $100,000 or $200,000 a year, that would help. So if you could prepare that for the council, I'm
Good
sure
point.
they'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Question on the sewer lift station, if you don't mind. I believe in the beginning of your conversation, you said the flow gauge was not working.
The influent,
The input flow gauge.
yeah, the effluent is
So
working.
how are you detecting how much is coming in?
Well, you go by the effluent. What comes in has to go out. So you know what's going out. That's what's reported to DEQ. But we would like to know what's coming in.
And the other question is, how long has Viola been managing our facilities? Do you know?
Do you know off the top of your?
1996.
So we've been managing the facility since 1996. I believe I've sat in here on a few meetings and they said we're at such and such capacity. Is that with the sludge in there? Or is that with the sludge removed?
No,
How do we
what-
detect that?
You're doing about 1 million gallons a day on average right now. The plant's rated for 1.6 million. The thing is that the debris in those basins is taking up that capacity.
Correct. So, I mean, it's basically setting bricks in your bathtub. You're losing water volume.
Correct.
Yes.
So when you were saying we're at 70% capacity, is that with the sludge in there you were still at 70%? Or is that with the sludge removed?
Well, you're getting 1 million gallons a day regardless. You remove the dirt and the grit, now you're gonna get better treatment. Right now, you're only treating half of that, you've only got half the volume in your tank. You take that out, now you get the full volume again.
So I think Stewart Consulting put on the last box, Scott, if you can look at it for us about capacity, is that?
Rated capacity, he's got 1.5 million, I believe it's 1.6, that's what I've seen, everything I looked at. 2015 monthly average exceeding 1.5. Yeah, 2015 monthly average exceeding 1.5 million gallons a day, 8 out of 12 months, I believe is what he's got there, right?
Yes.
2016 monthly average exceeding 1.5 million gallons a day, 8 out of 8 so far.
Well, that was last year when the
Yeah.
report was.
And the more repairs that we do to the lines, the less
The less
water that
water
comes into the
intrusion.
plant. So it will decrease the capacity at that point as well, correct?
Yeah, your I&I, what it is inflow and infiltration. When you fix everything in the field, you get less rainwater and groundwater coming into the plant. So now you're treating sewage and not rain and groundwater.
Your sludge you're taking out to landfill, is that being measured when it's coming out? I mean, I'm asking, I know your wastewater's gonna be measured through one way, and then your sludge coming out.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, if you're taking out so much, is that a water gauge that's detecting that? Is that before the sludge, or
No,
that's after the sludge?
We figured how many gallons, and then when we run our tests, we can tell how the percent of solids, and we can tell you how many tons have been taken out with a few calculations.
I understand, but with this inflow gauge out, I don't believe you've given us accurate readings. I mean, I don't know how you're
We
detecting
don't,
that.
yeah, you don't
It's
know
an
what's
estimate.
coming in,
It's
but
an
you
estimate.
know what's going out.
Correct.
But
It's an estimate.
you can also go by the dimensions of the tank and how many inches or feet you take out, and you can figure the volume that way, and that's what we've been doing. So when you measure that tank, you can figure by how many inches, how many gallons are in that
How much
inch.
sludge is in the bond?
Exactly.
And take the measurement.
Sounds like you need to start sucking sludge.
Geometry.
Yeah, Jonathan, I just need you to rest me ashore here, and probably the folks in the audience. Someone who understands public health very well. I'm a registered nurse, so you just said you're treating 50% of the water that's coming into our treatment plant.
No,
Can-
we're treating it all.
Can you just clarify that comment,
Yeah.
please?
No, we're getting 1 million gallons coming in,
Uh-huh.
and we're treating 1 million gallons. Or, whatever comes in, it changes daily. And if it rains, and, we're looking at averages generally. But no, we're treating it, and we're meeting the permit, our analysis, we're meeting permit, and everything, disinfection's good. I mean, we're not busting our permit.
Okay.
And the other thing that's important to note, we did an analysis of new homes in the community, and the new homes tend to be, over the last several years, the average was about 4 new homes, tear downs and rebuilds, 4 to 5. That's off the top of my head. I can get you the stat if you want. Last year, though, we had 21 new homes. Without upgrading our sewer plant, we will put at risk our ability to continue to add new homes and more bathrooms, bigger homes, et cetera, to Harahan.
I'd like to just ask if the council and the mayor might have looked into what it would cost to, I talked to Mr. Paul Johnston about, and he said it was high cost, but to run to Jefferson Parish, run a line, because eventually this system's gonna fail. We have to plan for the future. We might have to put some money ahead, and run a pipeline out. They have a newer facility out there. It's a lot of money, but we borrowed a lot of money, and we're gonna fix these pipelines. But if we're looking at adding to Harahan, which is gonna be in the long run, we gotta look into the future. If we're gonna maintain a plant that's gonna fail eventually or run down, and we're paying a high cost every year, almost $1 million a year for somebody to run the plant, what are we looking at for the future? And I would, just get together and see what's going, brainstorm and see what it is. I'm just bringing it up to y'all. Because I think it's a lot to try to upgrade what we got. It's old to start out with. It's outdated to start out with. And we got a lot of sludge in there. I know what we're going to do with that afterwards anyway. But I had some experience in the waste treatment processes and all. You've got to make sure it's aerobic bacteria in there, not anaerobic. And whatever you're adding to the system, I don't know what it's doing to the bacteria, but shouldn't have all that smells coming out. And it may be some kind of reaction with the chemicals and the bacteria. So it's something to look at. That this would be, our headache would be gone. You'd have to pay for it though. But Jefferson Parish can step in and do some of the work that they have a more efficient plant, they have a more modern plant, and they keep up with it because they serve a bigger public. So this is something for us to look into and maybe invest in that way. So even the minor leaks that we'd have, in certain areas, that we could take our time and fix them right. And maybe put a little bit more money on the infrastructure and let Jefferson Parish handle the rest of it, and they could keep up with the times, with technology. So, thank y'all. Thank you.
Any other comments? Scott?
Oh, is it Jonathan or Scott?
I
Or
go
is it?
by Scott.
Okay, Scott.
He likes to confuse me like that, you know?
He's
Okay.
Jonathan Scott.
Or Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Patterson.
You're saying that the odors that are given off, are y'all doing any air tests, the air quality tests to see what's out there? Have y'all been doing that?
Actually, definitely, we did early on as ammonia. I mean, as ammonia. It's a
Early
highly
on,
toxic-
when? How
When
far
I
ago?
first started about 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay. So you have not tested
It's-
since then?
No, it's ammonia, and what we're trying to strip it is the thing. You know, ammonia, we remove ammonia in the plant every day. You know, the thing is, it's a highly concentrated ammonia.
And if you can get the information to the council, I agree with Councilman Hewitt. It's kind of like if you do your due diligence and you come to me when the bill's $5, it's easier for me to fix than it is when it's 50 or 500.
I agree.
I would really like to know if any of these items were ever addressed prior to. I know you
Okay.
said you were gonna get that for us. If you could, that would be
Yeah,
great.
yeah, I'll look into it.
Okay.
I have one more question. Back when JR was here and he was talking to us, you said it's 7 days a week, you're getting one truck.
Yeah.
When he was here, it was a lot less than that. It was like once, maybe a week. Did y'all pick that up just recently? Going every day?
We've been taking about one a day since I've got here.
you could see the revenue.
Yeah.
Since you got here?
Yes, and I started in September, so.
Because I know when he talked about it last year, when we were having an issue
I was
about
trying
it.
to look for those old emails just to get the document, and because I have so many, I just couldn't.
Because I know
get
at
to
one
it.
time he said it wasn't every day, and you're telling me it's every day now,
Yeah,
so.
it's every day, yeah.
Scott, do you think the smell's gotten worse?
When they offload, it's bad. And then I've noticed, you know, 2 or 3 hours into the treatment process, it gets better. And that's why I'm thinking if we can feed it in at a slower rate, we might be able to eliminate or at least decrease the odors coming from the plant.
I mean, I got 7 complaints today.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm looking into a tank. I
And
think
then
that's
people
gonna
from
be all
River
right.
Ridge and Harahan and everybody who can grab one of our numbers is calling us, and that's what they're saying. They're saying it just seems to have gotten worse, and they're really starting to pay attention to it, to where some people are saying they're having incredible migraines,
Yeah.
allergy attacks.
Yeah, when I talked to David, you know, I asked him if anything's changed. He goes, no, it's the same process. The water's not changed at all. And that's, you know, so he gave me the analysis, which I've given to you, and, you know, he said, actually,
And we've
he's,
also tried to track when the complaints came to Veolia
Yeah.
with the timing,
yeah,
to find out if it was, the complaint accompanied when the net
There
water
were-
was being released.
there was actually several times we were getting complaints like at midnight, and we weren't taking, you know,
Yeah,
we-
what time of day is it released?
we take it early in the morning. If it comes after 10 o'clock, we won't take it. We tell them, no, we won't take it.
That is
after
so
10.
interesting, because Saturday, during the day, I'm driving down Hickory past the fire department, and I think it's 1:30, and it took my breath away.
At
For-
1:30 in the
For
afternoon?
about 6 blocks, yeah.
Okay.
So it's very strange if that happens at 10 a.m., because you smell it at all times of the day.
Yeah.
And really, as of late, in the last 6-8 months, has been unbelievable. 2 years ago, when people were talking about the smell, I didn't smell it, and I've lived here my entire life. So
Yeah.
it's been increased as of late.
So you said you're adding a masking agent or a perfume or whatever, for lack of better words, to it?
Yeah, well, we're spraying it into the air.
Yeah. Do you
So-
think that could be making it worse?
I wouldn't, no, I wouldn't think so.
No, I'm
Like
serious.
Febreze,
Look,
the
I mean,
Febreze.
I hate to use some terrible analogies, but sometimes when you come out of a bad bathroom and you spray air freshener out, it smells like you sprayed air freshener in a bad bathroom and it didn't make it any better.
Don't Febreze it.
Yeah. No, I don't
I
think
got a
that's-
whole picture there, but I didn't get the
I'm just trying to keep it
smell.
real, that's all.
Scott, you said you were looking at the cost of a new tank. How much would that run?
I don't know yet. I don't know, I have to look into
Okay.
it. This is ideas we've just come up with in the last couple of days and
Can you
talking
get
to.
us that information too with
Yeah,
that?
Dave.
Once we know.
Yeah. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Thank you so much
you.
for your time. I'm going to ask the city clerk to go to the podium, and Chief Walker and anyone from the police department, if you have someone, I'd like you to go to the podium today. Right now, if you don't mind, we have a special proclamation for our police department. Captain Adams, would you like to join? Anyone else?
Whereas the city of Harahan has been named the #1 safest city in Louisiana for the year 2017, according to the National Council for Home Safety and Security. And whereas the city of Harahan was named the 2nd safest city in Louisiana for the year 2016, according to Value Penguin. And whereas this is the 2nd time that the city of Harahan has been awarded the #2 spot in the state. And whereas safety has always been an important factor when searching for a new place to call home, and with an increase in crime has made safety the #1 priority for many Americans. And whereas because of our incredibly low crime rate, Harahan is welcoming new citizens who desire to live here because of the quick response time and due diligence of our police department under the supervision of Chief Walker. And whereas the mayor and council of the city of Harahan recognize the valiant efforts of the Harahan Police Department in keeping our citizens and their property protected. Now therefore, Mayor Tina Maselli, City of Harahan, hereby commends our police chief, Tim Walker, and to all members of the Harahan Police Department, reserves, and private donations. She proclaims her sincere thanks and awards this commendation.
So we'd like to thank you, Chief.
Thank you. I guess instead of a proclamation, I wish we could have some more cooperation between us. That's what I really prefer. Thank you.
Darlene Swartz, Community Liaison.
Okay, I have 4 items tonight, and I will be as quick and concise as I can. You'll start seeing these drug take-back flyers around the city. And remember, if you got friends, relatives outside of Harahan, this is not just a Harahan pickup. I don't care where your drugs are coming from. Drop them off at Rite Aid Pharmacy on Jefferson Highway or at the Harahan Police Department. And we're going to make sure we get them properly disposed of, okay, folks? And thank you very much in my speediness. Saturday, April 29th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we look forward to working with everyone in the outlying communities in our lovely city to get this taken care of. Harahan Senior Citizen Center on Monday, April the 3rd, which will be here before we know it, from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. is having their annual spring sale. Cash only, no counterfeit money, real money, real thing. They're going to be selling handmade crafts and jewelry, sweets, and Easter gift items, and also white elephant items. So let's try to support our Senior Citizen Center and the ladies that make this stuff. And again, that's going to be Monday, April 3rd from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. Item number 3. Some of us have reached this age and are getting pretty close. Not our city clerk yet, though. 2017 Medicare update. So for those of you who are on Medicare, Wednesday, May 3rd, 11 a.m. to 12 o'clock noon, again at the Harahan Senior Citizen Center. They're going to have a representative from the Louisiana Senior Health Insurance Information Program. They're going to talk about Medicare Part D, which is the drug plans, Medicare Advantage health plans, programs to help lower your drug costs, Medicare as it relates to the Affordable Care Act, and tips on fraud, awareness, and prevention. Again, that will be May 3rd, Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12 o'clock noon. You can call Lynn at 737-3810 for any additional information. And last, certainly not least, the Boy Scout Troop 179, who is with the 3rd District Fire Department in River Ridge, is putting together a trip for 14 young men ranging in age from 14 to 18 years old. It's going to be for a 14-day trek across northern New Mexico. Obviously, 14 days is going to cost a lot of money, approximately $2,500 per person. That's a lot of money. If anybody feels like they can open their pocketbooks for some donations to help some of these young men, please get in touch with Mr. Ricky Esteves, who is one of the troop leaders. His phone number is 504-628-0992. He also has an email, Ricky, R-I-C-K-Y, D as in Delta, C-I, at yahoo.com. It is tax deductible, so please consider that. June 15th is the cutoff, so, you know, River Ridge is our neighbors. We work in some of the schools in addition to the Harahan schools. Please help these young men out to get this done.
I'd
Okay.
also, thank you for mentioning all the wonderful events that we should participate in.
Yeah,
That-
definitely. And, you know, for anybody out there, if you have anything, you're not able to make the meetings and you want the information out, give me a shout. I'll be happy to help out any way I can. And then I have to ask a question, and I don't want to step on anyone's foot. Can I make a comment, Councilman Wheeler, Mayor, and the rest of the councilmen, about the garbage kind of stuff?
Sure.
Just right quick. And so everybody over at City Hall answers the telephones, and we've gotten another number of phone calls, old cans, new cans, blah, blah. You know, if you have an extenuating circumstance, I'm just going to say, we here to help. We had a phone call today from an 89-year-old resident, and she's had both cans still there. Very nice lady. She called with the inquiry, you know, when might the old can be picked up. We took her address. Ma'am, we're going to take care of it, because she said it kept getting knocked over and it was very difficult for her to pick it up. Okay? And so we, the city, sent someone out there and we took care of it, and it was brought where it needed to be dropped off and it was taken care of. So if somebody's got a hard time out there, man, you don't have to wait. Call us, and we're going to do what we can to help. That's what this is about, okay? So that's it. Thanks, guys. Have fun with the rest of the meeting.
Since Darlene said that, I just wanted to, I thanked some of our employees at a recent in-home town hall meeting that I had. Darlene has gone and knocked doors and helped people pick up receive tax payments, pick up trash cans, old trash cans, if they're got a special need. Charlene Maddie had a resident who was in a nursing home and had a difficult time making a tax payment. And during her lunch hour, she went out and picked it up for her and took care of it. I'm very proud of our employees. Those are just simple examples of what we can do. The other little bit of information, I'm not ready to share the details, but Paige Pipitone and I have a family friend that will be a benefactor to our senior center. She has agreed to donate $50,000 to the senior center for a project to be done there. We will be working with the city attorney about how to handle the funds and looking into the project. She's a lovely lady, and she has never lived in Harahan, and she's got a wonderful life story. And these are the things that make us special. People, the people who live here and the people from the outside who come in to help. So it's a wonderful, compliment to our employees and benefactors and people who donate and fundraisers and take back, prescription drug days, et cetera. There's a lot of community effort, so I commend everyone. Chief Walker?
Mayor, council, viewing public, got several issues tonight. You know, been a resident of Harahan since 1976. You know, a small city, our population is about 9,300. We got about 4,000 households that we cover. It is a very safe city. That's why I live here, and I think that's why the majority of us live here. People that really know me, I know a lot of people know who I am as a police chief, but they really don't know me. I'm pretty much a laid-back guy. I like to let my accomplishments speak louder than words. And I don't enjoy coming up here every month. But there have been some things that have happened over the last probably 5 or 6 months that I can't tolerate anymore. I take my oath of office very serious. You know, we have a finance director. We pay $105 an hour. Since December of last year, I've been requesting a meeting so we can get together. I know I mentioned we do a financial run. People say, well, what is a financial run? Financial run for us in the police department is basically your checkbook balance. We go to the council at our budget hearings. The council approves the budget. We get so many dollars appropriated to each department. Being an elected police chief, I am responsible solely for the police department. I am not a department head. I do not report to the mayor or the council, and neither do they report to each other or to me. The latter part of last year, when we started budget hearings, or before that, in October, the first time I had a checkbook balance to see where the police department was financially, October 1st, was only good through July. That doesn't give me any idea where we're at. I try to live within the budget, but it's kind of hard to tell where I'm at if I only have my, again, checkbook balance through July, and this is in September. But the mayor and the city CPA comes to a council meeting, tells the council members that they've spent a considerable amount of time, and they've reviewed the police department budget, saying that I'm going to be, or the police department's going to be under budget about $60,000, and that they wanted to take that money out of the police department and put it in general fund. I asked the council not to fool with our funding until the end of the year. My secretary and my staff, myself, go over our budget. We believe there was more like $80,000 they were trying to remove out of our budget. So we still have no real figures of where we're at, and we keep asking for them. The last week of December, we're going over our figures. My biggest expense each month is payroll, and it fluctuates, especially the latter part of the year from Thanksgiving through December. We have the blue light where we have 2 units work during the day and 2 in the afternoon, extra overtime. So it's kind of hard to get an idea of where we're at financially dealing with our payroll. The items that we buy, anything that's purchased, I sign off on the purchase order. So we know what our expenses are other than, again, pretty much payroll. Again, it's kind of hard to see where you're at if you don't have the financial figures. I spent about $82,000 that last week between Christmas and New Year's. I bought needed supplies, equipment, and materials that the department would normally have. I know I've been criticized for it. Still trying to have a meeting with Ms. Lulu. One was scheduled March the 2nd for 10 a.m. One of my staff members had to rearrange a medical appointment. At 9:50 a.m. on March 2nd, I get a phone call from City Hall that Ms. Lulu texted a City Hall member to say that she had a medical emergency and she couldn't make the meeting. Okay. Just by coincidence, the mayor was out of town on vacation that week. The following week, when the mayor gets back, she says, oh, we can meet a little later on, the mayor and Ms. Lulu and myself. When I, or my staff, we meet with Ms. Lulu, we pay $105 per hour. If the mayor wants to sit in that meeting and she wants to pay for the meeting with City Hall money, that's fine. I'm not gonna pay $105 an hour to the mayor to sit in a meeting with Ms. Lulu and my staff and to run the bill up. I think as it was last year, it was over $100,000 that was allocated for funding for the CPA. That's the kind of cooperation I'm looking for. I just find out where I'm at financially. Today, at around 3 o'clock, I get a reply from Ms. Lulu with a lot of different, not really answers, but accusations in that. And in that previous email that I sent her, I had a list of questions trying to find out where we're at financially. Not one of them has been answered. Then Ms. Lulu further states that she will not meet with me without the mayor being present. That's fine, the mayor can be present if the mayor is going to pay for that meeting. I'm not paying $105 an hour again for the mayor to keep talking and run my bill up for the police department. W-2s came out latter week of January of this year. My salary is set by city ordinance, and I get state supplemental pay like the other police officers do. So I know what my salary, I don't make overtime, no matter how many hours I put in, which is fine. I love my job. But my W-2 showed about $2,100 more than what my normal salary should be. So I'll bring it to the attention to the administration. Say, I think there's a problem. So they tell me there's 27 paychecks rather than a normal 26 paychecks last year. We've done some research on it. I believe I'm correct, there's only 26 paychecks. Then I get an email from Ms. Lulu that if on a certain date, if I don't pay back $1,600, because that's the $2,100 minus payroll expenses, by this date, I will not get a corrected W-2. Well, I paid it at the time by her time frame. You know when I got my W-2? Today, January 16th. Talking about cooperation.
March.
I'm sorry? March 16th, I'm sorry. You know, the mayor talks about shorthanded and records requests. I've had two recently. One was how much overtime we used from 2012 to 2016. The second one we got is trip sheets or activity sheets. An activity sheet is what an officer does during his tour of duty. And a log. We keep a log in the department where all the cars are during that 12-hour shift. It didn't appear overnight, Mr. Cameraman. It took us a considerable amount of time to put this together. The person that requested it came in and they asked if it was on disc. My answer was, if that was on disc, you still couldn't read it in a lifetime. Talk about time consuming. The person asked me if they'd hold it, they'd come back to see it at a later date. My office, well, they haven't been back, and I don't know if they know what they'd be looking for anyway. But like I said, I would like some cooperation, like to know where I'm at financially. The mayor sits up here and says, let's work together. I've tried, and I've tried, and I've tried. It doesn't work, folks. And I don't know what else to do. You know, it's been a long time coming. All I need is my financials and some of the things that we have. We have grant money that we get from the state and the federal government. Our city finance director is the administrator. They asking us for details about it when the mayor signs off on a grant, and our city CPA is the administrator of it. They have all the information we have. It's just questions like that that we get. We have two agents, as I mentioned before, assigned to DEA, and we get monies from them from seizures. Ms. Lulu, our city CPA, is the administrator of that account. We've been notified by DEA about a week and a half ago that we're not in compliance and they have money that they want to give to us. As of yesterday, we're still not in compliance. All she has to do is fill out some paperwork, which she's familiar with, she's an administrator, and it hasn't been done. It's very frustrating. Me and my staff spend more time trying to justify existence than anything else. And it's really getting to be tiring. It's been about 5 or 6 months like this, and it's not getting any better. Thank you.
Try 2 years.
Linda, do you have any response to those? Or do you need the mayor's approval to respond? I'm just asking.
You're not gonna get one.
I'd like to take a recess, please. I'll take a 5-minute recess.
Cookie.
I'd like to talk about that.
Right, no, right here, right here.
I'm taking a recess.
Well, take one.
Thank you. Bye.
Fine, good for you.
Can we have a 5-minute recess?
Sure.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for a 5-minute recess? I have a motion by Councilman Bennett, seconded by? We don't need a motion to recess for personal privilege. Thank you. Meeting is called back to order. Address the council.
Wait, okay.
Would anyone like to address the council? Please come to the podium, state your name and address. There is a 3-minute time limit. Also, comments will not be entertained from seated position. If any further information is needed that we cannot cover in 3 minutes, please just make an appointment and we'll try and give you more. Thank you. Let me get my little timer up. And hi, how are you?
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm so
Mayor,
happy
thank you.
to see you.
Members of the council and chief, congratulations on your award. I don't really have a whole lot to say tonight, just that we start session April 10th. This is an odd year, so it's a 60-day session, which is a fiscal session, meaning we will address taxes. In even years, it's an 85-day session, which is non-fiscal, so we don't address taxes. So, you know, all the themes and the things that are going to be going on in session this year are really just kind of materializing. So the next time I speak to the council, I can kind of, we'll be in session, so I can touch on what some of the main issues are. Obviously, the budget and taxes will take center stage as always. And just to give you a little recap, you know, it takes a majority to defeat a tax and a 2/3 majority to enact a tax. So usually with that, your money's safe. But, you know, when we're in Baton Rouge, nothing's ever safe, I guess. So it's better when we're not there. But, you know, so that's how it goes. All revenue measures originate in the House. They can't originate in the Senate and so forth. But again, the budget will take center stage. I think the economy, I think, is starting to turn a little bit better, although oil and gas, I know, is still kind of flat. But if there's any questions from the audience or for
anything in particular you're concerned about more than any top priority items?
The 1% increase in the sales tax that was passed last year, that was temporary, will go off a year from this July of 2018. But since this is a fiscal year, that has to, I'm not in favor of it. If it were to be extended or made permanent, it has to be done this year. So that's something to look out for. That accounts for about $800 million. So, you know, I would rather see if we can make some savings or some cuts in state government instead and leave that penny off. But that's something that is a concern. And, you know, just the general oil and gas is a big concern. You know, we've lost 30-something thousand jobs in 2016, good jobs, and we just don't see those jobs coming back quickly.
Capital outlay requests?
Capital outlay requests we'll be working on. You know, there's limited capital outlay funds. We're just gonna, you know, Danny Martini, our senator, and I will work as hard as we can to try to get as much as we can back to the district.
I'm going to take this opportunity to implore your very vocal support for the multiple projects that the city has put forward. We have drainage, capital outlay, a couple of $1 million for drainage, especially affecting Sedgefield and McHugh, who are in repeated rain with a light rain. Different other streets in the city that can have water sloshing up to their doors. We're also asking for money to help with our sewer system so that construction does not go onto the sewer rates to create a different force main. That is very, very urgent to our city. And it's quite expensive. We've sent you the information. We're also talking about some rehab of sidewalks, the overall look of the city. We have many different things, but the sewer and the drainage are urgent needs. And
well, Senator Martini and I will do our best. I assure you that.
I know you will.
If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Majean Cazenave, Harahan, Louisiana. At the last meeting, a representative of the Harahan Athletic Association presented a lease agreement for the lease of the concession stands during every event, with the money going to the association supposedly for the benefit of the recreation department. However, this is a city-owned building and should not be leased for $1 a year. The lease agreement does not require any insurance or payment for repairs should damage occur. Also does not hold the city harmless for any injury sustained at these events. I am against the city signing this lease, and I feel sure that other citizens feel the same way. Thank you.
Hold on, Mr. Bruiser, I'm sorry.
No problem, go ahead.
You know, I multitask here, I'm behind the tip.
I understand.
All right.
I do it all the time.
It's yours.
Thank you. Jason Brudick, 7204 Stoneleigh, and I think, as I said last time, every time I sit down and listen to everybody, I say, holy cow, what did you just say? But today I'm not going to get into that. I have two separate sets of questions. One involves the public records request that I got. Thank you very much, by the way, for that, and I say thank you, Ms. Lee. But when I reviewed the documents, I saw something very disturbing to me. And the public records request, to refresh everybody's memory, had to do with the computer, the potential security breach that occurred in and around December, I think it was, or I'm sorry, November. And I wanted to know about it because that happens to be part of my background. Well, I got the documents. In January, I don't know if you remember, in January 19th, I asked for the FBI letter that clears everything, saying that there was no problem. And you spoke to Gilbert, and Gilbert says, and you asked if you could give me the letter. And Gilbert says, well, file the public records request. I said, okay, fine. So I did. In the records that were produced, I find a letter written by Gilbert to the FBI saying, you agree with this, right? And they said, well, this accurately reflects our investigation activities. And it's dated the 30th. Well, that bothers me. Because at the time of the 19th, when I asked the question, and everyone's saying, yeah, go ahead and give them the letter. There was no letter. It didn't exist. And then there's an email specifically saying, there is no such letter that he wrote to Ms. Wheeler. So I'm disturbed by that. I shouldn't have been told, yes, we'll give you a letter that never existed. So that's part one.
I lost track of what date you said, the 30th?
The 19th was the meeting. When I asked
January.
of January, when I asked for the letter. There was no letter. There never was a letter. There was an email that was sent by Gilbert to the FBI, which was very well worded, I might add. But the FBI responds saying, yes, this accurately reflects our investigative activities or actions. And that's dated the 30th. So as of the 19th, when I'm being told, yes, go ahead and submit your records request for the letter, which I specifically asked about, there was no letter. That bothers me.
Yeah.
You should.
Well, actually, too, as a council, didn't we receive some type of correspondence from the mayor saying that everything was okay and that the FBI had said there was no further investigation needed? Am I
Well, I have the
incorrect?
email, it says there was no report. For the record, there was no report.
Then why was I told that there was
For the record.
and in the meeting?
Okay, it's time.
It doesn't make sense.
I'll make a motion for extension of time.
Thank you.
For,
3 minutes.
I have a motion to extend time 3 minutes by Councilman Wheeler, seconded by Councilman Hewitt. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? We have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Now, I just got those records. I believe it was yesterday, Nicole. Was it yesterday or the day before? Yesterday. Thank you. So I just got them, and they're about 79 pages long, and I had to read through them quickly. But even reading through it quickly, this really jumped out at me very, very starkly. So I would like an answer, a definitive answer, as we sit here today. Today now, has the FBI ever issued a letter clearing all computers that were involved in this event? It was a Java attack, apparently. Mr. Ed Kraus wrote extensively on this attack and said this was a real threat. It was a credible and dangerous attack on our systems. It accessed Java on a Macintosh. Java, of course, runs across all platforms. Doesn't matter if you're running a Windows or a PC or a Macintosh or any other kind of computer. It doesn't matter. Java runs on anything. And that's what kind of attack this was. So I need to know if my data is secure in Harahan servers. And I think that's important. So that And I had one other topic, and I hope I'm not going to run out of time. The other topic, and this is a simple question for, I think, Ms. Lulu. I went looking for money to try to help Harahan out, and I found a code article which specifically says that $15 is supposed to be collected for the appearance bond fee. I just want to know if we're collecting it, and if so, how much did we make last year? If we're not collecting it, why? And I would put that to the council, to maybe you can dig out an answer, because I know you can't answer me while I'm up here. Thank you.
City Attorney Burris, do you have any additional information to provide?
Mr. Brusick, the city has produced all of the documents relative to your public records request. If you have any questions of the FBI, you have the name of the FBI's agents. I suggest you direct your questions to them. You have all of the documents that the city has.
Can you please answer the council then? I'd like to know that answer.
Answer to what?
Has the FBI cleared everything that transpired with the breach, that there was not a breach and that everything is okay? Can you please confirm and let us know the information as a councilman, please?
Let me explain to you what happened, because apparently I'm not getting through to anybody on this.
Okay, so let
I
me
got in touch.
let me
I
let
got
me
in
say
touch.
excuse
Let me
me.
answer the
No,
question.
excuse me. I'm gonna do another warning here. At the last meeting, you were very disrespectful to citizens here in this chamber. I will not let you disrespect me. I am only asking a question. You are an attorney. That is your expertise, and I would like you to answer the question
Please
respectfully.
restate the question. What's your question?
The question is, has the city received a letter from the FBI stating that the breach is okay, that there is no issue, that their investigation it does not need to continue because the citizens' information is safe and that the breach has not breached their confidential personal information?
The characterization of what the FBI communicated to the city as a letter is Mr. Brusick's invention. The FBI wrote to the mayor. The email is in the records produced and previously produced to Councilman Wheeler and Councilman Bowden. There has never been a letter. There have only been emails. The characterization of that as a letter is Mr. Brusick's invention. I never said there was a letter. When asked about a letter, I said file a public records request and you will get what the FBI produced.
So, sir, I
And
would
let me go for it.
assume
No,
I would
wait.
assume though, Mr. Bierce, would you assume that when we state letter in 2017, people may assume that could be an electronic letter?
If by letter you intend email,
Yes,
you
let's use
have
that
the
to be
yes,
synonymous.
then you have the letter that the FBI sent. It was a communication by Agent Murphy to the mayor saying, we looked at it, it only occurred on your machine, there's been no breach of your data. Our contractor, Digicom, wrote back to the FBI and said, by the way, we want to know some other things. The FBI contacted Digicom, no communication with us. When Councilman Wheeler asked for what's the FBI doing, I contacted Agent Murphy. Agent Murphy said this never even got to an investigation because we never found any credible threat to any of your systems. I said, well, questions are being asked by certain council members. They want to know what the upshot of all of this was. What's the end result? I said, here's what I understand, Agent Murphy. Agent Murphy wrote back and said, why don't you put that in front of our legal counsel? This is what we examined, Mr. Burris. Put that in your own words in front of our legal counsel and have him clear it, which is what happened, Mr. Brusick. So if you have any questions about what the FBI agents have done or whether what I communicated back to them for approval and was approved by their counsel means, I suggest you get in touch with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. By the way, sir, last week in a 12-hour CLE, some of it dealing with cybersecurity, I learned from one of the instructors that the first thing you do whenever you have this kind of nonsense on your email is report it to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which is exactly what the mayor did. So if
No,
you don't,
that's
if you
incorrect.
don't
That's a
like
lie.
it- If you don't like the
That's a
response-
lie.
That's a lie?
That's a lie.
That I heard this in a
No, no,
you're telling me
that-
what I heard in a CLE
that
is a lie.
she reported
Thank you.
this to the FBI.
Is a lie.
That's a lie. Ed Kraus reported it to the FBI.
Well, kudos to Mr. Kraus. The FBI communicated with
Excuse me?
the mayor from then on. The mayor is the one who communicated it to the FBI. The FBI met with the mayor.
Your
Now, Mr.
characterization-
Mr. Brusick, if you have any further questions about what transpired with this, I'm not a computer expert. I'm just
I know.
doing what the FBI has told me to do, which is
Mr.
put it in my
Burris.
words and see if it gets cleared by the FBI's
What,
investigation.
what
Mr.
I'd like,
Burris.
Wait, can I answer, please? What, Mr. Bruce, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Okay. At the January meeting that he's talking about, he got up and addressed the council. He specifically asked the mayor, was there a report issue? If I'm not mistaken, Mayor, you said, I'm gonna defer to the city attorney, that there was one. You told
Can I
Jason
give
that you
it
could
to
get a
him?
copy through the public request.
Yes.
That was on the
Because-
19th.
And
Wait,
that's what he
Mayor,
thought.
Agent Murphy,
Mayor,
wait,
please.
Agent Murphy had asked for us not to share their private communications.
Then why did you state there was a report and tell Jason to go get a public request when there wasn't one? That's the question he's asking. You told him on the 19th there was one. You advised him to go do a public request.
No, I told him to do that.
Okay, but how could you ask him to do a public request and your email comes a week or 10 days later?
When you knew there was no letter.
You know, Mr. Brusick,
that's what I don't
Mr. Brusick, this is beyond ridiculous. At the time you posed the question, Ms. Wheeler, the FBI had already said, we looked at it, there was nothing there. You
And
said
we
there was
had
a report.
received a
You were the
correspondence.
one, and after the meeting, I said, the FBI has said nothing happened. Well, we need to have something from
Wait,
the FBI.
give us something,
Then
right?
I went back to Agent Murphy after the
Because
meeting
you
on the
said
19th.
if there was a report, just all he's asking for is a
You
report.
have it. You have you have as much.
Do
of
they
their
have the
report as their
very
issues.
first one that
Wait, you have as much as the FBI did, and he got it in the public records request. It was an email to the mayor saying there was nothing.
I think the
here
question
showing
he's
this.
presenting,
Wait,
Mr.
wait,
Burris,
because
he was advised there was a report, he was advised to do a public
No, he
request.
wasn't. I advised him to file a public records request, and he got exactly what was in the record by the 19th. But after the 19th, after the meeting, you said, we need to know something, Gilbert. So I got back in touch with Agent Murphy. I said, this is what I understand happened. She said, Gilbert, I can't write that as a report. You have to formulate what you understand to be the situation is. We've communicated it, and we will pass it by our legal counsel with the FBI, which is exactly what I did. So if you think anything about this is deficient, if you think the wool is being pulled over anybody's eyes, I suggest you have the names and addresses and email addresses of all of the FBI people involved with this. You call them up. I've done everything that the FBI asked me to do. It's been produced in a public records request, Mr. Brusick, but he insists, for some reason, on holding me up to be some sort of, oh, I don't know, maybe I'm prevaricating about this. Madam, I have produced everything that the city has on this non-issue. If you have any other questions, please contact the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
I have Agent Murphy's phone number.
I do have
and
it too.
cell. So contact Agent Murphy.
Well, wait, who's the lawyer, the FBI lawyer who wrote that? on this? What's his name, Mr. Bruce? You have it in the documents that were produced. What's his name?
I'm
Why don't
sorry.
you contact the FBI's counsel?
I have a better
See what he-
idea.
See what he has to say.
Why don't we discuss your clear, Gilbert, your clear disrespect to me, sitting here telling everybody here that this letter is some sort of a fabrication. It is not. You say that they wrote something to the mayor saying there was no issue. I'm sorry, that is not in the public records request that I received. It is not in there. I received an email that you wrote to them.
At their direction, Mr. Bruce.
I didn't see any of their direction
Their direction.
directing you to do that. Show me that.
That's because it's not a document.
Phone call.
It's a telephone conversation between me and Agent Murphy. That's not
So it doesn't
what this is
exist.
in public records law
Can't be
because
traced.
it's not a
So
document.
it doesn't exist.
If you're
Correct.
insisting that
How
the letter doesn't exist,
very,
then no letter
very
does- then no letter exists.
convenient.
Correct.
Convenient for what, Mr. Bruce? I take personal offense
Oh,
to
my
that.
God. Go outside.
All right.
Mayor, I'd like to
Did-
address that, council, please. I'd like to take on personal privilege and address the council. This is about the computer hacking, and I just wanted, and this is Mike Foley. What is Mike Foley's title, his official title, or what is he to Harahan, and how does
He's the IT vendor.
IT then? Okay. So this is from Mike Foley. He says, if a hacker really wants to target you, he will find a way. Some of it involves people sharing confidential access via email. There is a positive side to the event, and that is awareness. And that's what all I sat up here to do was issue public awareness after I notified the mayor a week prior. If you don't notify the public, I will, simply for awareness. It says, going forward, I would be in favor of a closed session with you and the council, followed by a public statement assuring that the citizens that hacked was not perpetrated on the city, but the incident is a constant reminder. We all need to be aware of malicious emails and attacks and a constant threat of identity theft. Which again, I'm on the same page with Mike Foley. If you would ask Phil what he thinks, I'm not sure a public scolding of the council would go well, and the FBI would back us in this private scolding. Plus, this would be presented to the public as more of a public service announcement. Also, having any argument involving technology is fruitless, because very few are capable of following it. So our public is not capable of following this access. The one thing that really sticks out to me the most is that if you would ask Phil, I don't know of a Phil that's on any staff in all of Harahan. Man, can you answer me? Who is Phil?
I'd have to go back and read your email and go investigate. This is the problem with the communication in the entire city. We get asked to give information, and then we get bombarded with questions about what we gave here at a council meeting. There's no communication back to us. There's accusations, quote dates, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Because if we would have talked, if Mr. Brusick would have presented his question to me ahead of time,
Then nobody else knows.
excuse me, if he would have presented his questions ahead of time, we may have been able to clarify the issues of the dates and the timing of the emails and cleared it up. Because I don't have that information alongside me at this moment to directly talk to him about exactly what email, what day, what time. It's the same way when the Chief Walker gets up and goes through a litany of things. This is not the place where we go through a litany of items where half understandings are presented. That happens on the background. We should be up here dealing with the facts and the resolutions and bringing it forward. And if there are still questions, then we deal with it. But all this about, let's get some information, get the public information request, come and then make accusations on those requests, I think I was due the respect, the city attorney, the city finance administrator, the council, and the public, that if you had additional questions about what was delivered to you, then ask. And we could have prepared that information and had it ready for you tonight, instead of being surprised.
He's
by it.
asking you for a name. You have to research.
Yeah,
the
and first of all,
question
I
about
want to
what
make
you're
it very
talking
clear.
about.
I didn't attack the mayor in any way, shape, or form. I never attacked her.
At the last
No,
meeting-
you scolded me because I came out and made it the public aware, and I issued a public awareness statement, and you scolded me at the council meeting for it. When this is our own IT people saying that it was great to make the public aware, then we got to get Phil's advice. I'm just not sure who Phil is. Now, let me be, you ran on a campaign of transparency. I'm trying to figure, I just want you to be transparent, and I'm trying to figure who is Phil, what does he do with the city, and how does his decisions reflect on us? That's all I'm asking. The truth is that it doesn't want to be answered. That's the truth.
Correct.
Because we know who's running the city of Harahan, and it ain't Tina Maselli.
That's ridiculous. We had multiple, I can't believe we're going through this at 9:20. We had multiple warnings by the FBI to keep this investigation, looking into this internal, and not to alarm the public unduly until we had some information, because we hardly had any information. They gave us information that gave us basically a clean slate overall. IT, the reason why it's mentioned about the IT, because when you get into the deep explanation of IT, it can be somewhat complicated. It gets simply over my head and many people's head. And the word hacking doesn't even have an official definition by the FBI themselves, because I asked them. There's no official definition on hack. It is a general term. that is used in the public.
I have a question. So my question is, I don't think that the city of Harahan has anything more than my name and address in the record. So what would be, why would we be so vulnerable as citizens if there was a hack, which they apparently.
They check social security number?
True, that's true. Okay.
What about if
I
people
believe that we can conduct the business of the city tonight. If you want to have a special city council meeting and address what these specific issues, these different accusations by the chief or by the council or anyone, and we can address it. But tonight, we have business on the table that is important that we have to do. We were cleared by the FBI. And Tim, I do take umbrage at some of the things that you have said and you've put in writing to me, and I have not shared it with the public. Just at the last meeting, at the very end, you said, where did she come from and what right did she even have to run, basically, if I had to coin it
I
and
never said
paraphrase
no
it?
like that.
Yes, you did.
I said, you do not understand Harahan. That's what I said. You don't understand taking care of our own.
I don't get up here and I don't slap. I try to commend. There is nothing that this is accomplishing. Trying to pinpoint what day, what record was sent, and we don't have all the records in front of us to even speak to it.
I just wanted to make the point that you scolded me for public awareness when our own IT people, our own IT person.
We caution this council as to not give undue alarm to residents because there was no evidence that any of that occurred. And I would suggest, we have given the council the phone numbers and the email address. You had the email addresses. You have the phone numbers of the FBI. Have any of you contacted them?
I just got this 2 days ago and it's just
No.
really set me off. It was really alarmed by this.
No, but nobody's contacted them.
I'm fine with the FBI's clearance. My problem is how you set in on me, and even Mr. Gilbert did the same, set in on me at the council meeting about how this is such a non-issue that we should make the public aware, when our own IT person actually goes into a good lengthy conversation about how public awareness was a good thing.
Public awareness about identity theft, that is good, but as to give the false impression and to worry people to think that they have private information and that their savings account, checking the books, etc., those kind of financial important records are at risk is false. And that was undue alarming of the public. And it was being cautioned not to do it. It is unwise. There was someone that was made so nervous they went and closed an account unduly at a cost to that person and opened up something else. The FBI wanted this internal. At no point was it supposed to be widely disseminated. And if you question my veracity of what I am saying, then I would tell you, you need to call Agent Murphy and email. You've got all the contact information.
I just want to read what the FBI sent, because after I talked to Agent Murphy, which was after our conversation, after the July 19th meeting, I said, listen, this is what I understand happened. She said, well, look, we didn't even open an investigation because this was so innocuous. It happened on only one computer. We found no evidence that anything had been breached by the city. I said, great. Let me send you what I understand the case to be. And then she corrected me, and I sent her back the restatement. And here was the restatement. Dear Maggie, here's the restatement. An email containing a malicious JavaScript file of a zip file was downloaded from the city server to the mayor's personal Apple MacBook computer, and the Bureau collected, that's the Federal Bureau of Investigation, collected a copy of this original email for pre-assessment analysis. That's what she called it, pre-assessment analysis. It wasn't even an investigation. 2, the Bureau was told that the mayor opened the email on her personal Apple MacBook computer. 3, the JavaScript containing the zip file used functionalities for ActiveX controls that are only available on the Windows operating system, not the Apple operating system. 4, the FBI conducted a pre-assessment analysis of this matter in conjunction with the city's IT contractor, Digicom, as it appeared that the email was a generic phishing attempt, not a targeted attack. No further analysis of the city server was deemed necessary in conjunction with this specific incident. The Bureau concluded that no evidence was found that would require the opening of a formal investigation by the FBI. That was then forwarded to Mr. Kyle E. Hanrahan, Associate Division Counsel of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, New Orleans Division, who wrote back to me and said, "Dear Gilbert, your statement accurately reflects the FBI's investigative activity relative to this incident. Please let me know if we may be of any further assistance. Best regards, Kyle," with the stamp of the FBI, his work number, his cell number, and his fax number. So, any citizen who has any question about this, Mr. Brusick has a copy of this document with all of the FBI's contact information, and if you think anything is untoward or I haven't stated anything correctly, be my guest, contact Mr. Hanrahan. He's the FBI's lawyer.
All right, I want to just make it clear. I'm fine with that. We will do our due diligence and do the homework on, my problem is when I was, I'll use the word scolded, if you will, for making it known to the public. That was my problem. And I've come across so many different documents and so many things, and this is one from our own IT person saying that it was actually good. It was actually a good thing.
He's
And,
saying it's good after it's been found to be a real threat, a real problem. That was never the case.
He said,
So
he
you-
doesn't get that detailed. He says public awareness.
So you think if there's a possibility of a threat, we should alert the public that there is a
Absolutely.
threat?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Let's clarify this. There are
There was a breach.
There are, this was, I wish I don't have my computer with me. We asked originally if we could share Agent Murphy's original email. She told us she would prefer not to. That's just it's the FBI. This was private. They also recommended that this should not be made public. There was no reason to raise any undue alarm. If anyone questions the veracity of my statements, call the FBI. The phone number's on the email. Mr. Brusick, you have it. You can directly correspond with Agent Murphy. I forget who the assistant's name was at this point. Jason Maron, I forget. You can also speak to now the legal counsel. Their emails are available. Their contact information is available.
Mayor, can I use another analogy? If there's a hurricane that has potential of coming our way, but we don't know if it's really going to come our way, do we not alert the public and say, hey, potentially there's a hurricane coming our way?
There's a difference of one that's coming off of Europe that's still 600 miles away as opposed to one that's in the Gulf.
All right.
There's a difference. There's always degrees of difference with everything. It was inappropriate to unduly alarm
I disagree.
the community.
I disagree.
and that
I disagree,
was
and our own
public
IT person, Mike Foley, disagrees.
And, though, we can get Mike Foley, and if this would have been brought up prior to this meeting, we could have pulled the minutes, the video, and actually, and had it transcribed word for word what Mike Foley said. And we could have asked Mike Foley to be here to personally inform you of his intent in that email. But we were not afforded that. It was decided it would be better and more fun just to come up and attack. That's what this is. And it's
That's
an
where
attack.
you're
And it's an
so
attack on everything.
wrong over and over again. That's where you're so wrong. From the beginning that you took office, all you had to do was work in a team environment, be transparent, communicate, and be respectful. And you fail constantly at that. So please do not say because we wanted to make it fun and we wanted to send several emails and waste public time for an hour about an issue that could have been taken care of if you were just honest and open and transparent. That is not the case. The case is with you that you have a problem communicating, being respectful, and transparent.
I will ask anyone interested, put in a public information request for some of the emails I have received to and from this council from day one. The surliness, the aggression, the insults, and the accusations from the very beginning. I
That is
asked
not
anyone, I can prove it.
That is
I
not
have document after document after document of how I am spoken to. How it's communicated. to
Listen,
me.
this is not the Academy Awards, and I do not need an award, okay? I deal with facts all the time. If someone wants to go replay the first year, 2015, of her office, replay those meetings, and you can understand why there may be some tension, and then continue into 16 and so far in 17. The tension is because of her.
And furthermore, I'd like to just continue on another point. We've went through some city attorneys here for quite a bit, and when Mr. Gilbert came along, my only simple response was, Mr. Gilbert, would you be fair and impartial to this council, because we've been through so much with these attorneys, and that's all I want is, if I'm wrong, say I'm wrong. If I'm right, say I'm right. Be fair and impartial. And recently, we received an email that says the city attorney is a part of the executive branch, and that serves at the pleasure of the mayor. Well, Mr. Gilbert, I'm not doubting your ability, but what I am disgusted by is that I'm doubting your word, because you agreed to that. And for that, tonight am going to ask for a no confidence vote in our city attorney, Gilbert Burris. And I'd like to make a motion for a no confidence vote.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Bodier for a no confidence vote on the city attorney, which I disapprove. Seconded by Councilman Wheeler. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed?
Nay.
We have 4 yeas, 1 nay. City attorney, I ask that you continue your excellent service with the city. We are very pleased with your dedication.
Well, you are, because he's at the pleasure of your answer, not us.
In spite of some of the most surly comments, this was actually public information request. You can ask for this one too, Mr. Brusick. Within weeks of Mr. Burris being confirmed, Councilman Wheeler sent an email demanding that he resign, or else she'll demand for, a no confidence vote. The same way that they did to Robert Heinz, basically chased him off when they accused him
Mayor,
of
that is a
overbilling.
lie.
I actually
Wait.
like Robert Heinz.
That's a lie.
That is a lie.
Wait,
We chase everybody off?
yes,
Because it's
you
never
do.
you, Mayor. It's never you. It's
Wait.
always somebody else. Right.
This has got to end.
Oh.
I have met with people in 2015 when I took office. Things like state law, we're supposed to avoid them. I've been told by very people in this room, we don't do tax sales in the city of Harahan, even though it's required by law. When asking the city clerk to do the tax sale, that we're not supposed to ask the city clerk to do the tax sale. It's mandated by the city clerk. We have gone from a deficit, let me just tell you this about
Oh,
what's happening.
please.
It's my
Oh,
fault.
please.
We've never had a tax sale in the history of Harahan. That's my fault, everyone.
Please, wait. Yes?
I want to wake.
Okay. I'm going to ask you who you trust. I didn't sit on this council in the prior administration, and create a $1.25 million deficit.